and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today is the co-founder, CEO, brand manager, all round good guy, Kolade Boboye. Thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Thank you for having me on here, man. It's a pleasure. I'm very, very excited
Yeah,
to
I
do this.
remember, having Kai and Luke at the Get Down on the Get Down podcast, and it was like, oh man, I had such a fun time listening to them talk about it. I was like, okay, I want to learn even more about the genesis of LDN. So, do you want to take me back to the beginning? Like, how did you and Kai meet, and why did you decided to start LDN, let dreams be noticed? No, no, no. I got it wrong. I always get it wrong. Let dreams
You
get
got it. You got
noticed,
no, you
right?
let dreams be noticed. Let
Yeah,
dreams be
yeah.
noticed. You
Oh,
had
I
it
didn't
right
get it
first time.
right. Let
You got
dreams
it
be
right.
noticed. Yeah, great. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You got it
So
right.
how did it
Yeah.
all start?
Yeah, definitely. How we started was like so. I guess, I guess at the age, I guess I'll start when me and Kai met. So me and Kai we met like 10 years ago. Me and Kai, I'm 20 years old, turning 20. Kai is 2 years younger than me. He's 19 right now. So I met him when I moved to Canada for the first time from Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. I moved to Canada. So like, and like I could come in here. He was like the first person who was like my friend who introduced himself to me. I was a very shy kid. No one really like knew me. I was new to the neighborhood, new to the community, so I didn't really know a lot. And he was definitely that person who kind of like welcomed me in with open arms, just super friendly, actually, super friendly guy. Like he's the one that made the first move to even introduce himself to me. I was super shy. I was like, yo, I don't want to talk to anybody. I was scared. And I guess from there we just kind of like connected. We realized we had a lot in common. Like even though it was ranging from like we had a lot in common like music, like even playing video games, even like editing, even graphic design, all that kind of stuff. We had a lot in common. So I guess I kind of like be like playing with like kind of like hanging around each other all the time and kind of like just like doing things together, kind of like man, so holy shit, like we are a pretty like we work well together. So I guess like from there, over years, over time, we got into playing video games. So at the time we were playing video games, we made like teams, like clans. If you ever played video games or played Call of Duty, you know that back in like 2014, there was a big phase where like everyone was like in like teams and stuff. And that's where like we kind of and then we obviously created our own team. Had a lot of trial and error in that. It was fun kind of doing that. And then like over time you get older. Kai got into music. That was like insane. He started getting into music. I remember the start actually like he started producing. He's the first one to start producing, started making beats, and then he introduced me to start making beats. We started making beats together for like a few months. Like some of our beats are still on like SoundCloud and shit from like 5 years ago. And we started making beats, and then like he went in, he kind of like got to the point where like we're making beats all the time, even though they're like shitty ass beats. We're making beats all the time, and then I was like at that point, and at that point I was like okay, like I guess like I kind of made a decision to either like should I like go with music or should I like go with like something else, my kind of something else. So I chose to go with like business, and Kai kind of chose the music because he was naturally just talented at it, and like he kind of like that ambition for it, and a passion and drive for it.
Hmm.
And like he kind of like did that. Then he just started rapping his own beats, and then it kind of like took off from there. When like he started rapping his own beats, is when like I guess like the vision kind of like came to us. Like I guess that kind of so I guess he started making his own beats, and then like for some reason a lot of people really liked him like making music, and I was like, okay, cool, this is cool, and like I guess like from there it kind of like started like snowball effect, and then like I guess like I remember like one night, I had like the specific night we kind of like came up with like LDN and Let You Be Noticed. And it was like we were sitting in Kai's bedroom, like literally just like brainstorming. It's like a summer night. I think I was just 17, he was 15. We're just like, yo, we're bored. We need hobbies. That's what our mind. Like, we're bored. We need hobbies. Like, we want to hustle, want to do something cool. And then we kind of like going back and forth to realize, okay, in Halifax, Nova Scotia, there really isn't any hip hop rap scene geared towards like younger adults, teenagers. At the time, most people we knew of were all like in the 30s, and they were more older rappers who appealed to more of like our parents or people like older siblings than us.
Mm.
So I guess that's where we kind of realized, okay, like there isn't really a market for this. Like how let's make this market, and like, well, you know what? Let's. And Kai had the idea of creating a record label. We're like, yeah. At the time, we're like, I was telling like, yeah, let's do a record label. And then from there, it just kind of like naturally happened. And then obviously you start making beats, and then obviously like we didn't really tell anyone we're gonna like make a record label or like even form a little collective or anything. It just kind of started off as like for fun, and then a lot of people like for some reason just gravitated towards music. Like a lot of our friends were like, okay, we like making music too, and then they were making music, and like, oh shit. So then for some reason, it was like, I remember there was like this like, what's the word? There was a little like, I don't know, like outburst, just like everyone wants to be a rapper. I remember like, yeah, I remember at the friend like everyone wanted to be a rapper. I'm like, even to this day, a lot of people still like, yeah, I want to rap and stuff, and like it was great to see. But at the time, everyone wanted to be a rapper, and then that's when like I guess we started like I personally started realizing, oh shit, these guys are talented. Like some of these guys have got some talent. It's something we could do something with this, and then that's when it kind of like started. It was kind of like we started realizing a lot of our friends and peers and people we knew of were musically talented, and like you're like, yo, let's do something with that. Let's let us not make this go to waste, kind of thing, right? Like let us start this like new age music for the newer kids and all these young adults and all these like teenagers, because like yo, there's no one really appealing to us unless we want to appeal to them, pretty much. I guess that was kind of like our mentality starting off LDM in the record label. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a quick
Yeah.
snapshot, but like I like breaking things down a bit. So if it's okay with you,
Oh, definitely. Let's go. Yeah.
let's go back to
Definitely.
like, okay, so you meet Kai and like, you guys become friends, and basically because you love playing the same games, and he reached out to you. But like, do you personally, what type of songs did you grow up listening to?
Oh my God. What songs I grew up listening to? Okay. See, it's funny actually. I get made fun of this to this day. So originally, I was not really into hip hop at first. I was into EDM. Very very random thing actually, because like I just like especially like my family is like I was grew up in a Nigerian house, so my parents never played any Western music. I kind of a lot of Nigerian music, a lot of like Fela Kuti, a lot of like traditional Nigerian artists and like African artists is what I grew up with. So kind of like grew up with that coming to like Canada. I was not exposed to like rap right away. I kind of like I naturally found my own music, and that was not found my own, but I just naturally found music that I liked, which ended up becoming, which at the time was like EDM, like house. It was very and like pop music, so it was like very like mainstream, like stuff that you would see on YouTube. Like I used to like as a kid, I love even to this day, I love watching music videos. Like that's like literally, I think that shit's like an art. Like people create music videos, it's fucking amazing to like see. Like you get a song, you get a visual to it. I think it's beautiful. So I guess like I started off watching music videos, so I gravitated towards like kind of like the EDM. I really like the hard hitting bass, hard like the energy that comes from the song. I really like that. So I guess like kind of like trying to find my music at an early age. I was kind of around that realm, and then Kyle kind of introduced me to like rap and like kind of showed me like, oh yeah, these are rappers and these are what rappers do. And then I guess like obviously I was like, oh yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. That's where my mind like, yeah, this is what I've been looking for this whole time is rap. So I guess like naturally I got into rap music, and like even like this, I'm still like very naturally into rap music. And like I didn't really grow up on rap music. I kind of grew up on a lot of like traditional African music, like Fela Kuti, like Orlando Hole, a lot of stuff like my dad listened to, my parents would listen to, because like every morning as a kid, my parents would play like like Nigerian artists, and I had to wake up. I remember waking up at like 7 o'clock in the morning to listen to Nigerian artists. I'm like, oh shit, like yeah, this is groovy. So I guess like that kind of like it kind of like it's still in me, and I'm happy I had that kind of upbringing with music.
Dope. So what kind of artists would you and Kai be listening to?
Oh, okay. So me and Kai, we like a lot of Travis Scott, that's for sure. A lot of Travis Scott, and like a lot of like Travis Scott, Kanye, Kendrick Lamar. Um, I'm not a Cole guy, but Kai likes Cole, like J. Cole. I'm not really into Cole, whatever.
Why
Cole,
not?
Cole, he's a great artist. I respect him. I don't know. He's too much rappy rap. Sometimes it's too much rap. I was like, I'm good. Yeah. But yeah. So like a lot of like, I wouldn't say we had like specific artists. We were really more curious on like the design and actually like construction of the songs. It's like artists. So like I guess like artists like Kanye was a big one, because like he would like his music was something you wouldn't hear everyone do. So we gravitated towards those type of songs. So gravitated towards like more songs where like the artist is more like you have more producer control. And like I guess like those songs where that kind of explains why we literally make all of our own beats and shit in house, because we realized, oh shit, like we ever say that actually is that we believe I was saying is that we believe, and I personally really believe that the best artists are producers. And I guess like I guess that was like the type of music we would listen to. So like Travis, like Kendrick Lamar, and like Kanye, and kind of like more like the bigger names now who are like more like certified to like and like official. Yeah.
So why do you say that producers make the best artists?
The reason why I kind of say that is because I feel like one thing I really believe in is the creative process, and like I really believe the creative process. I feel like you can't accomplish a creative process without having like at least some type of control and having some type of say. And like especially in like in music, if you like a lot of artists like Michael Jackson for example, his songs are completely curated. The Michael Jackson songs, you know, a Michael Jackson song, it stands. Oh, and I feel like as an artist, it's important to kind of have that control and have that say because you're constructing something that like is reflecting who you are, expressing who you are, and that's I think it's harder to do that when someone else is like, "Oh, here's a beat, rap on it." I mean, that's great, you can do that, but I feel like you can really take it to the next level with that production and that kind of construction. That's what I personally believe. That's just me. A lot of people probably disagree with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's all good. I mean, that's your opinion, but you know, when you mention something, it reminds me of Kanye West "Runaway," the song.
yeah.
Um, if you've like the video is amazing, and I think just actually that whole dark fantasy twisted whatever that album was called, that album was just amazing. So you guys were
Yeah.
listening to Kanye West and stuff, and then you'd make beats. But like, what apps, what software are you using to make your beats?
We use FL Studios. So FL Studios, it's still around. We use FL Studios, and we were like at the time we would like go on YouTube and search up how to make I don't know like a type beat. Like you ever heard this type beats? It's like how to make like a Travis Scott type beat, how to make a Drake type beat, and we would go on there and what we would go through is like okay, let's say for example the Damn album came out. I liked Humble a lot. I'll go on YouTube like how to make a Humble beat, and then I'll kind of like replicate it, and then obviously when you're replicating, you're kind of like learning as you go how it was made. And I guess like that was kind of like the original creative, I guess like the process of making beats. It was kind of like we just copycat what was already made, right? And like see, like I
Mm-hmm.
really like how that sound, that beat goes hard, like it's bouncing, and then we replicate that beat and like okay, and then over time you just kind of doing it, you kind of pick up on like little oh shit, they did this with they did this with the 808, this with the kick, or like there's a synth in there or like whatever this sounds in there. So I guess like over time we picked up on these little like blocks that kind of like contribute towards the whole structure of the song. And I guess that I
Exactly.
know that was it was very beneficial. I feel like in the kind of like learn how to produce and learn how to like. I mean, I don't know how to produce that well. Like, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a good producer, but the guys who make the guy like Kai and Luke and them, yeah. I guess we could say that's
So
how they definitely work.
yeah, so you guys, just had this laptop and stuff and making beats. But like when you started, okay, you had this discussion with Kai that summer night and like, okay, let's do LDN. Did you like, start thinking of like setting up like a studio type thing and then the guys that were coming to work on the songs, like how did you grow that out? Like, I mean, you have friends, you all like music, but how do you go from, okay, we just like music, listening to it, maybe making some beats to let's do our own thing?
Okay. That's yeah. Okay, I'm trying to see how I can answer that. I guess how it kind of happened was it got to a point where like obviously like everyone wants to like be a part of it. Everyone wants to make music, and everyone wants to kind of like do it. And obviously that's great, and obviously that's the best way to start. I feel like it's kind of like it was so generalized. I feel like, okay. I feel like LDN started very general. Like it was very like a general. It was like it was no structure. It was nothing really going on. And I guess like kind of like actually realizing that people actually liked the music, and like either like especially when it was like kind of like very like they liked the music at the early stages. I guess that kind of like it reassured me and like okay like there's something here to be done. And obviously when like I feel like I had a vision, like my vision to this for LDN is that I see LDN as like why I categorize LDN is like we provide an experience is why I categorize LDN is like our goal is to provide an experience, even though that's through our music videos, through our business, through whatever we do. we're providing an experience that kind of correlates and relates to who we are, and it's kind of like showing people, yo, we like this. If you're like minded, you also like this. Come have fun with us. It's kind of like how we approached it. So I guess kind of like going with that kind of mentality, like want to give it an experience, want to like make music that people love. It was kind of easy to kind of like say, oh, I feel like what happens like it's like throwing. It's like I don't know. I'm trying to find like the best analogy. It's like so I guess like we kind of had like a board. I would say like a theoretical board, and then like the people who stuck stayed. If you didn't stick, you didn't really stay. So I guess that was kind of like the natural process. It's kind of like I remember specifically we had like kind of like a commitment check because it's like obviously you want to do something that's like very serious, and like if you think that you're very passionate about, you don't want people kind of like oh this is willy nilly in and out. Like you can't have people being half in, half out. So I guess like at the start of LDN we had like 22 people in there, 23 people. Which was amazing, right? And on Tuesday we still were like, oh, people are great, but then like got to the point where like we're like, okay, we have to do a commitment check. Like we want to take it to the next level. We have to find a structure. We got to know who's like it got to be consistent throughout.
Yeah.
We got to know who's the team, like who wants to make music, who doesn't want to make music. I guess from there it took a few months and definitely like a few months to a year for that to kind of like even like settle in, kind of like because even me, I didn't have an idea what the hell LDN was gonna look like, right? I didn't know. I'm like, I didn't have an idea. I kind of like was going with like the feeling and kind of going with the flow, and the other guys were also going with the feeling and the flow, and we're just kind of going with what was right. And over time, like when you follow your intuition, that leads you to a nice place. So I guess like kind of going off like that natural feeling of like, okay, like this feels right. You work very well with this person, and I guess that was a very important to kind of see who kind of like worked very well together. And I guess like miraculously, I would say the teams really bonded. People who bonded very well kind of made the best music together. And I guess that was how it kind of started. It was like, oh, like my bad.
No. So like you
Okay, okay.
the people that were meant to be there stayed pretty much. Is what you're saying?
Yes, very much. Yes. And like, cause like we started with 22 people, and now we're down to like 10. And like, it was kind of like we had like a commitment check where we had to let everyone know, like, even though like it was like you're my friend, but like it's also like this is something that I really care about, and like if you care about it, yeah, come and help, come and contribute, bring your talent. If you don't, and also like if you don't care about it, that's totally fine, right? Like everything's not meant for everybody. So I guess like kind of having those conversations with everyone and kind of like seeing, oh, like I just noticed a lot of me on like me and the guys who are like currently LDN, we had a lot of thinking and a lot of like goals and stuff that were very aligned. That kind of made it easy. Like, we're like, okay, like we're just like, I want to know that I see LDN doing this. You also see LDN doing this. Oh, perfect. Come over here. And I guess that kind of really helped with like forming it, kind of having that common consensus as a group, and that also goes into our music and obviously like who works well together. Like I've noticed over the year or two now doing LDN. I know the guys, like me and the guys I know you guys on a personal level. And like that was what was really important for me, and especially I feel like everyone else was kind of like know each other on that personal level of like, oh yeah, like we're not just making music, we're doing this because we love to, or like we're doing this because we see it, we have a passion, we're doing this because like we have a goal and we want to impact this and change this. I guess that really made it easier to kind of like know who to be a part and who not to be a part. Yeah.
So like what were some of the things you did for that commitment check, though? Like some specific things you did?
Yeah. One of the things we did was like me and Makai, so the first thing I thought of to do was we need a team. We need like a team that can like oversee and like, because I realized at some point like I was doing a lot of shit. I was doing a lot of the admin and managing things myself. I realized there's no way I can't manage 22 people. That's literally impossible. Like without myself. So I guess like the first thing I thought was I didn't even worry about like kind of like the collective. I worried about the team. I'm more like the internal. I'm like, okay, like we need a structure. And then my goal, it's kind of like last time my goal was to kind of like build a team. And I can definitely say I built that team with like the team right now is me, Kai, and Luke. And like Kai and Luke were the two they did the Get Down podcast. And like it was kind of like creating that kind of like managing team and then kind of like defining what those people were gonna do. And then over time, I'm just happy I kind of like have a mentor who kind of helped me with that business aspect and kind of like how to structure a team. So I guess like kind of like talk to my mentor and like do my own research and like kind of talking to the guys and like going back and forth with Kai and Luke, and we just kind of found out, okay, these are the things, these are our strengths. Let's define our strengths and then put them to work pretty much. So I guess like how that kind of went down was like, okay, we had, so for like the way I guess I would say the internal team, the management team is kind of structured is like there's me, there's Kai, there's Luke. Me, I do a lot of like the business. I call my job. I make shit happen. That's my job. I just make sure shit happens. That's what I call. I summarize down to that. And then Kai is all about like artist management. He's like artist management. I guess kind of like A&R, kind of like helping artists develop because like Kai was good at that. Like he's the one to start off making music. He's literally the one I would say that put on. He's the one that put on every artist in LDN can. Kind of Kai was one that was like, yo, you can rap, come rap. If you can like, and this is when like no one was actually rapping. He was like, yo, like he would make a beat, like hop my beat for me, and you rap. He's like, oh, you're actually pretty good, and like he would kind of like going from there. So he got really good at that kind of like artist management. So I'm like, yo, Kai, I trust you. You're good at this shit. Get that done. And then Luke is kind of also artist management, but he's more of like a producer, engineer, and kind of like he does a lot of creative development as well. And Luke's an amazing producer, and like kind of like Luke's like he was a guy who kind of like helped with like the first like LDN album. Luke did a lot of the production on that, engineering on that, and like so like he kind of like he understood how to kind of like structure an album and kind of like make it work. So I really like leaned on him, and we leaned on all each other to be like, yo, like these are our strengths. How can we use our strengths to our advantage? And I guess that's how we kind of like start off with the internal team, and then after having the internal team, it just kind of made it easier because we know, okay, I have people I can rely on.
Yeah.
And then then I guess after that, once you have the internal team, we kind of got to work with like, okay, let's really, really get this collective structured and kind of like what is Legends We Noted and who is Legends We Noticed. And then funny actually last summer, this is when during COVID, we got access to a studio in the square, the community we live in. And because the studio hasn't been in use for like I think like 2 years or 3 years. And then like because Kyle was like making music, so he knew the guy who owned the place. The guy was like, yeah, you guys can use it. So I guess what we did was like we ran an LDN camp, and the point of the camp was kind of like test the water with everyone. So the goal was kind of get everyone in the same space and then really just kind of like just make music and see what vibes connect, what vibes don't connect.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm very, very happy we did it because that really like showed a lot of everyone. It showed like the collective and the team's strengths and like what the artists and what the guys could bring to the table. And like, that really made it made it easy for me, Kai, and Luke to be like, okay, you work well, you don't work well, you work well, and you work well. And then like, okay, let's group these guys who work well together. You guys don't work well. Kind of like, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your efforts. It just doesn't fit the vision we have right now. And obviously, there's no harm, and people understood like, yeah, like.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like, and also with the commitment check, that made it even much easier because like we always like to put the ball in the individual's court. I didn't be like, oh, like you're trash. No, we didn't do like we're like, oh, actually here, like this is what we want to do. Are you on the same page, kind of thing? And like we let them know, like people like, oh, actually, man, I would love to, but I'm not really fully interested. Perfectly fine, man. That's totally understandable. So I guess like kind of doing that kind of like commitment check and kind of like doing that kind of like test runs led to kind of like the collective we have right now.
Wow, that is actually that's a pretty great approach, right? And like you're building this team, you know, okay, wait, there are a lot of things that need to be done. I'm one person. I'm not going to do it on my own. But there are people that are around me that have these strengths. So I'm just going to reach out to them and make sure that one, we are all on the same page, and two, we are all working towards this thing we want. So what we now said, okay, this is, we said it, LDN, let dreams be noticed. What were some of the goals you had in mind when you're like, okay, this is what LDN is?
The goals we had in mind, I would definitely say it was like, and one thing I think is kind of still the main goal to this day, and I'm making sure about it, is the main goal is the music is the most important part. And that's one thing I always like to tell myself all the time, like, the music is the most important part, regardless we're doing business or whatever, or doing whatever. The music has to be the most important. It's a focal point. That's where we started off. That's where we're going to keep going and kind of center everything around that. So I guess like kind of like really focusing on like making music and really trying to push ourselves to create music that we have never heard before, create music that no one has really heard before, and like
Mm,
that really was a common goal a lot of the guys shared. It was like they wanted to create music and wanted to
mm,
make music expressing who they are, expressing what they've been through, music that people can connect to. And I guess like that was just clear enough to be like, okay, yeah, the common goal we have is music. We all connected by music. We all love music. Music's a universal thing. Anyone can listen to it. So I guess like
mm,
kind of like seeing that and kind of like being in the studio with the guys really it was like something to aim at. And I guess like kind of Kid Music Center is like, okay, we have music. Now I was like, ultimately, music. There's so much you can do with music, and then that kind of led to like, you know what? Let's expand to music shows, like music venues. Let's throw our own show. Let's, I don't know, let's do music collabs or whatever. But that's what I would say was like kind of like the common goal was music.
mm. Yeah, having such a powerful one and super focused goal makes everybody know what we are doing. We all know that, we are friends, we
Facts.
like each other, but also we are here to make music. We are here to make music that we love, that makes something to us. But something you've been mentioning over and over again is business, right? How did like, because
Yeah.
I mean, you could just stay in your, in your place, in your studio, make some beats, put it on YouTube, whatever. When did you decide? Okay, we actually also consider the business part of what we are doing.
When I realized that was kind of like when like obviously it was when I realized that was my bad. I'm trying to think. When I realized that was kind of like when I guess the ball got rolling with the music, and then obviously okay. When I realized when like our dreams were like, okay, we want to like throw a festival in Halifax. We want to throw music venues. We want to make music, and then I realized, okay, to do that, we need money. We need money. We need a structure. We need some type of credibility that people can say, oh yeah, Dave can do that. Yeah. So I guess that's when the business aspect come in. And obviously, I'm in school right now for business. I'm a marketing major, and kind of like since I love marketing so much, I was like, okay, I originally I was really focused on the marketing aspect of a business. Like I was like, okay, marketing is everything. You have to market this, that, it's look good, all of that stuff. And I mean, like I wasn't wrong. And then
Mm,
like over time, like talking to my mentor, he kind of like opened my eyes, like, yo, like you got to think bigger than that. And then that's when I was like, holy shit, we could run this like a business. And I feel like the business, and I personally think the business approach with the music was the best approach for us because it kind of like it's like you're having fun with the. It's like what I kind of say is like you're having fun with the music, but the business approach is kind of like how you would like make sure this like it's kind of like it was make sure that you can keep having fun with the music. That's what I kind of was
mm.
kind of thinking with the business. I'm like, okay, like we can make this out of we can and okay, my bad. There's so much I'm trying to cover. I guess
Take your time. We
so. I
have
guess like with the
time. We have
structure,
time.
having the structure. My bad. I'm trying. So I guess like create after creating the structure, the team, it was kind of clear. I'm like, okay, these are skills and these are things a lot of people need and want to have.
Hmm.
And obviously, as of me growing up in kind of like my family is very business oriented. I grew up in like Hope Blooms, very business oriented. That kind of my mindset automatically goes to the business side of things. So I'm like, okay, like how can we make this profitable? How can we do what we love and have fun doing it and make money doing it?
Mm.
That was kind of the one. That was a real big question for us, and kind of like, okay, was this profitable? Can we make money from this? I guess that was kind of my challenge. I kind of took it on. I was like, okay, how can we structure this? I guess that's when like the structure kicked in. That's when we kind of hit the record label. That's when kind of like, the collective kind of kicked in.
Mm.
So I guess like what I'm trying to say is that when we realized the business was kind of like when I started doing my research into record labels and realizing how much money they were making and how much money they were making off artists. Not how much money they were making off the artists and how much money the artists don't even receive. So that's when that kind of like that business entrepreneur side kind of kicked in. Like, holy shit! Like these mainstream guys are getting fucked over by the man. He's taking 8% of your profits. That's something that can't continue. Like that can't continue in this type of field we're in. And that's one thing I
Yeah.
was trying to like portray to the guys like, yeah, we have to be entrepreneurs. We have to be owners of our own shit. We have to do shit in a way that we're in control. At the end of the day, and we have final say. Not someone's like, oh yeah, you go do this.
Mm.
And that's another thing which made it easier with forming a collective is that the guys also had the same mindset. They didn't want to work for anybody. They wanted to be their own bosses and do something they love that had an impact. So
Mm.
that even made it easier. Like, okay, these guys are committed. I'm committed. Now let's go into the business side of it, which was at first I can't lie, which was like super blurry. Did not know what the hell I was going to do with it. And the first thing I knew about business was like, okay, I, I had no idea. I'm like, okay, how do we approach this as a business? And even to this day, I kind of have an idea, but like that's what I would say was kind of like that's what I would say about the business side and how it kind of like came together and kind of like how it started manifesting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if
another
that
thing
answers the
apart
question.
from yeah, no, it did. Apart from business, another thing that keeps coming up is your mentor, right? How did you meet, and like how did he get, or how did this person get to be your mentor, and what impacts do they have on your life?
Oh my, my mentor's name. Shout out my mentor, Bruce. His name is Bruce. Great guy. I love the guy. I met Bruce through when I was second year of university. My second year when I turned 19 is when I met him. So like at this point, I'm already like a year in with LDN, and like at
Mm.
this point, I was kind of like just running, just going with everything. I didn't really know how anything worked, and I met him through Hope Rooms and through one of my I guess my godmother. She was well connected. She's like, yo, this is this guy Kolade. I think she kind of introduced us, and then like I just had a conversation with Bruce, and like he's like, yo, you know what? I really like you. We should link again. And then that's kind of went from there. Went from like, oh, like it's like a regular conversation. I just kind of told him what I was doing, what I liked, and he's like, oh man, like he one thing he told me is he's like he told me he see the mini version of himself and me. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess like from there, he kind of like he was like he's kind of started like help guide me, and I'm very very appreciative. Like to this day, I always think I'm like, yo man, like you really really helped me kind of like get to that next level because I didn't know how to get to
Mm.
that level. I'm like, how do I go from where I'm at and take it to like, okay, this is a level where people are like, yeah, what you're doing is credible, what you're doing is sick, and like he kind of helped me with all the that whole gray area no one talks about. Like there's so much gray area and so much like behind the scenes stuff no one talks about. You kind of help me with like, okay, understanding what that is, the importance of it, and why I
Mm.
need to do it, and then that kind of like, oh shit, he kind of made that importance clear. I'm like, oh shit, I really do need to do this
Yeah.
to make this company or make this business survive. And I
Mm.
guess like he kind of like I remember like he would like this is why it's one thing I learned from him was that a person who gives you books is a special person to keep in your life. And he was that
Mm.
person like he used to like give me like books to read, like little like books, and I read them like holy shit, this guy is giving me pure game. I was like, and like that helped me with kind of like further, like kind of, it helped me with I don't know, it was like a weird thing. Like he was some type of like I don't know how he knew like he gave me the right books, which helped me like help me build LBN to where it was. I don't know
Mm.
how he's like yo this and like he would like give me a book like read it and I'll read it, come back he's like what do you think about it? And I'm like yeah I took notes blah 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 blah. He's like okay it's like actually now you're done this book I have another book for you and then he kind of like prepared me no later like he prepared me to like yo like because I was talking about like I said before, I want to kind of take everything to the next level, and he's like, "This is how
Mm.
you do it." Because like I didn't know how to. I was like Google searching, and no one's telling you, "Oh yeah, this is how you take your shit seriously." No one tells you that. It's like good luck. It's like, and he was like, "Yo, like this is these are kind of like little like stepping stones to get to that point." And like
Mm.
obviously he wasn't like, "Oh, like this is how you do it." He's more of like, "Here, here's a little nudge," and I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, oh," and then like it's kind of like. It's like a trail. You know, like you in the cartoons, there's a little trail of like food. It was like that. I'm
Oh
like, oh shit. I'm
yeah,
like,
you
oh,
pick
and then like
some.
the
Yeah.
little gems and gems. I'm like, and he like boom, like wow, this makes a lot of sense. So that kind of helped me get figuring shit out. And then I was like, oh shit, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he's like, just it was the help I needed. I'm very very thankful that he came in my life at that time. It was like
Mm.
perfect timing, realistically.
That's great.
And that was kind of the impact he had on
Yeah,
me, and he still has on me.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, yeah. I believe having a mentor is always a great thing, especially someone that believes strongly in you, to that level, someone that's open to sharing their knowledge with you. That's always a great thing. Here's one though, like, I know you started at
Yeah.
22, whittled it down to 10, but like 10 is still a lot of people, right? 10 is still a lot of
Yeah.
people. So let's talk about the first album. How do you decide who goes on one track? Like, and how do you even decide what track gets in the album?
Yeah. How we decide? So most of this part, I don't really. say. I don't really. I mean, I don't have a lot of say in this part. I like to give this part to the actual artist. I'm like I consider myself kind of like an A&R hand. I might A&R. I might listen and like give my opinion. And that's what the guy. And I appreciate the guys because we had a relationship where like the guys were like, yo, like just show me like, what do you think about this? And I was just giving my honest answer. I'm like, yo, like maybe you gotta add a bridge or whatever. Your delivery wasn't strong enough. And I guess like kind of trying to be a part of the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. That's something that was very very important. It was I kind of learned from my mentor was that as like someone that wants to run a business, I can't, and me, especially me being like a co-founder and like whatever, a CEO, whatever, manager, whatever. I didn't want to create a hierarchy organization. I didn't want that because I
Why
mean, it
not? Why not?
works, but I feel like I worked, but I feel like the reason why is because the people I was working with, they didn't operate like that. And
Oh.
at first I tried that. They didn't operate in that kind of like hire someone telling you what to do. And obviously because I'm the same. I don't like people telling me what to do. Obviously I like listening. I don't like something like, oh, like you go do this, you go do that. And the guys, they were the same way. Like they wouldn't listen to me. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, I gotta try a different approach. And I guess this is where I kind of like realized that I had to be as involved in the organization as possible, be as involved in the music as possible, understand what everyone's doing,
Mm.
understand how they're doing and why they're doing it. So I really kind of
Mm-hmm.
challenged myself to be like, even like me, like this is like for example, like we had like a show coming up. I was planning the show, and the guys were in the studio. I would go work at the studio with the guys while they're making music. I'd be in the environment, and like it was just kind of like I just really wanted to kind of create that environment, and the guys will create. They also create that environment where like it was very like it was welcoming for me to work in, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very motivating. It was like I was like the guys were feeding off my energy, I was feeding off their energy. I'd be in the studio and I'd be like on my laptop, and then I hear it be like, "Oh, that's fire! It's fuck!" Like yo, like, and then I just like throw the inputs, and then like just like that's how it starts. Like you just throw a little input, like someone just starts something, and then someone's like, "Yo, do this with it," and then we all kind of like we got to a point where like we all accept all of our input and criticism, and we
Mm-hmm.
understand that they're we are saying it to each other for the betterment of each other. We're not saying it to bring you down. We're saying like, you know what?
This
That
is
sounds really fire,
yeah,
but try this.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
that's when I guess like kind of like having that environment to do that is very, very important. And like I guess like kind of like creating that environment, it was great for me and the guys because we were like the guys like even shit I do. I tell the guys I'm like, what do you guys think about this? Like I trust those guys so much. I'm like, yo, like you guys are like my second sober thought. I'm like, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys? How do you guys? Do you think this works? Because sometimes I approach things and my approach could be like completely misaligned from the whole organization. And the guy's like, yo, Kolade, like, yo,
Mm.
come back here, like you're kind of off a little bit. And then I really appreciate that because I appreciate because that kind of helps with the execution and kind of like the whole LDN as yeah, the LDN as a
Yeah,
whole. That's what I would say.
yeah. No, no.
Yeah.
So before actually, we're going through this whole third wave thing, but before COVID hit the very first time, what were some of the plans that LDN had?
Oh my god. Oh my god. um, one of our plans was definitely like we wanted, and we still to this day we want to we love throwing our own shows and our own venues, and like and it's funny because we got our first show in literally like weeks before COVID-19 the first wave ever hit, and we were very pumped because the first show was like we threw it on God in the streets. We had 75 people turn out. Like we did like
Wow.
it was like the first. This is when LDN was even like LD. It was LDN was a thing, but like no one really understood what we were doing. We were just making music and having fun.
Mm.
So our plans were like we're gonna like throw a lot of venues and like pretty much build like the music up, build the catalog, build the team up, and like really just kind of create. That's one thing we challenge ourselves to like create a lot and try to like just kind of like keep pushing out there, just trying to kind of like create and improving ourselves. And
Mm.
I can't lie, COVID kind of helped with that a lot,
In what way?
actually, because like in the way that like our mentality going to COVID was like, okay, the world is shut down, the world is slowed down, everything has come to a stop. This is our time to catch up and get ahead. So I guess like we just kind of like locked in and we was like, yo, like we're never gonna get this chance ever again in our lives. And for some reason, I think the universe is blessing us.
Mm.
It's like a blessing in disguise, and we just literally like we're spending like 12 hours. Literally, I'm not kidding, like 12-hour days in the studio for like 5 months
Mm-hmm.
making beats and music as a collective or individually. Like me, like I remember like every day I used to clock in 6 hours of like LDN work outside of my
Whoa.
regular work
Wow.
because I was no like we were and the only reason I had motivation to do because of the guys. The guys
Mm.
one day there was no way I'm clocking like I was literally like was like okay this is the thing I actually picked up from Makai. Makai was like yo like because Makai's a freak with music. He just literally sits in his room and makes beats all freaking day, and that's what he did all quarantine. He was like he would lock in for like he'd be up at 9 o'clock in the morning making beats till 11, and then he'd go to bed and repeat that
Wow.
all quarantine. So, so it was like so I guess I kind of seen that I'm like holy shit I can implement that into my kind of like work.
Mm.
So that kind of do, and I guess I did that, and then I guess that kind of like replicated. It spread through the whole team. So the whole team was just like because like what would happen was like someone would do something. They're like yeah I made this whole album. And you're like, holy shit, I haven't been doing shit this whole time. I got to go work. So
Mm.
then it kind of like, it was that kind of like, it was like that friendly
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
And like, you didn't want to be left behind type of shit. And I
Mm.
guess that kind of like really, really
Yeah,
helped.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what you guys are building here is really, fascinating, interesting, and actually inspiring. And I love
Wow.
it,
Yeah.
It's like, I love it because there's this
Thank you.
camaraderie, but there's this still, we are here to do something, right? One thing you do is put everything in house, and we kind of touched about this earlier on. But why is it important to keep everything that LDN needs to do inside this ecosystem of LDN?
The reason why is, for one, it's a value proposition. It's our value proposition is that the fact that we can create everything in house. Like, how many artists can say they can create everything in house? Not a lot. And I guess kind of like it was by accident actually, because like it was like when you like also when you start creating a group, and then people are like I need a graphic designer, I need an album cover, I need a music video, and then when you start with your friend can do this, a friend can do this, a friend can do that. It just kind of made sense to like I started like outsourcing all the time, do it in house. We can design everything in house. It also made everything more consistent. It also and the production like the turnover time was faster. So kind of like and that's when we realized, holy shit, this is like a superpower. Like, and the fact there's like 10 of us, and we all brought in different skills. We're like, yo, let's utilize this. And I guess like that's the reason why we kept it in house and the ownership aspect. And now kind of like we work with people, and people are great to work with, but some people are like, oh, I have a different schedule, I can't get this done now. And obviously, when you're trying to like boom, 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 like it's like when you're trying to like be organized, it's not. A lot of people can like fuck up plans. So like that was a thing to keep it in house because it's kind of made it more consistent and made it more
Yeah,
clear.
it's a good thing you mentioned that. Like, I know personally, I've been in situations like that where, everything is set up. We know that we are doing whatever this thing is at 12 o'clock on Wednesday, and everybody's fine. And Tuesday night, I check in, are we good for tomorrow? And you're like, yes. And then
Yeah.
11:30, you just send me a text message, sorry, I can't do it. Like, you could have told me
Now what?
yesterday.
Now what?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And now it's so frustrating because like we've been in that position where we've had that. Like we had that so much at the start. And I guess like it wasn't like this is why I'm like kind of going back to plans earlier, why I fucking need to be as involved with like the music production creating process was kind of like seeing like I said, that's why I said before, like the best producers are artists. It was kind of taking that same kind of like concept and applying it to like the overall general. It was kind of like, okay, like if you can make your like for example, I've watched Makai made beats from scratch and it's amazing. I'm like, imagine we could do that as a collective, make everything from scratch, output it. It's amazing. We get it how we want it, and that's another thing that happened was like we realized we were outsourcing and things weren't coming back how we wanted, and that was like a very important part, especially when you're trying to like express yourself or express whatever, and someone else is like, oh yeah, like they're doing it for you. It obviously is great, but it's not exactly how you want it, and like we were very picky, and I guess that kind of also contributed to why we kind of kept everything in house.
Being picky is a good thing sometimes. Like being picky sometimes is a good thing because, especially with your music, you want to have your distinct sound. And like like how you mentioned about all those artists like Michael Jackson. If you hear the guy's song, you know who the person saw, right? And if you're not nitpicking, if you're not like super focused, if you're not like it doesn't sound the way I want it to sound, then you won't have that distinction.
You get lost.
You'll just be artist number 43,
Facts. You can't be artist number one in that way.
You mentioned about COVID and how you've used COVID to build things moving forward. So I think I want to end it with this question though. What are some things you've done in the period of COVID to build LDN to where you want it to get to?
So a lot of things we did was we're very big on collaborations, and we're very big on like kind of like because that's how LDN was kind of started. It was a collaborator effort, and we kind of continue that outside of the business. So during the year of 2020, so start of the year, we threw our first show, our first ever show on God Knows the Street. We had 75 people turn out, which was amazing. Shout out to those people. I literally was like scared as fuck planning that show. I did not know when I was planning. I'm like, yo, like no one's gonna come to this shit.
Yeah.
And people came out, and it was packed. I was very surprised, and it was great to kind of like see that, very reassuring. And then COVID hit. And then we did some performances here and there. We dropped an album. We dropped a mixtape in the same year. And then in August 2021, Spring Garden Business Association, they hit us up. They're like, hey, we heard you guys like making music. We're looking for local artists to perform on Spring Garden for the first ever Spring Garden outdoor show. I was like, holy shit, fuck yeah. My bad for cursing. I'm like, yeah. And then so we literally threw the first ever outdoor performance on Spring Garden.
Nice.
You know the public gardens, the gate right on public garden.
Right.
It's so funny because like it was on a Saturday. We were like a bunch of fucking teenagers blasting music on Spring Garden, blasting, and like I'm not kidding. Like it was like. And like people were driving past, like stopping, like what's happening? And just us performing on Spring Garden. So that was very, very fun. And like that was something that like, we were like, yo, this is sick. And like something that a lot of people can't get to say.
Yeah.
And then that was getting like the second kind of like big thing we did. And then on December 31st, whatever, 29th, whatever, the last day of 2020, we hosted a New Year's Eve virtual performance in collaboration with Propeller Brewery.
Nice.
So that was kind of like, since we couldn't do any live shows, we decided like, you know what, let's try to be innovative and go virtual. So through a virtual show, so the goal was kind of like we said, like I said before, we provide an experience, and I try to keep that in mind. We reached out to Propeller Brewery like, hey, we want to throw a New Year's Eve virtual show. We want to also have a bundle where people can buy a ticket and a case of 4-pack or 6-pack from Propeller Brewery beer, and then for a bundle price. And then they get a ticket to the show and they get drinks. So the whole goal is kind of like put on a performance, like a virtual performance for New Year's Eve, and get people to come out and have fun with us and perform. Because at the time, everyone was stuck indoors and still are stuck indoors. So we're trying to bring the music and show to the people.
Yeah. And
that was kind of the last thing we have done. And as of right now, I can actually finally announce this. We are dropping a project, another album, in June. So very soon.
Oh wow!
So
okay, thanks for announcing here first. Thanks for announcing here first.
Announce that. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I feel super special. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're dropping that in June, and this is something that's been like the first album. One thing I can say, the first album it was made in a shorter time period. This album has been 9 months to make the album, and like it was So it's like something, and like exactly as a collective, it's been something that we've kind of like. It was nice because like we were able to kind of like do things as a collective outside of music, and then kind of like come together and like, okay, this is our experience, let's put into the music, and then try to like really show that we've been working and show that we've been improving. That's kind of. I feel like this album is a big step from our last album. That's for sure.
Awesome, man. Kolade, thank you so much for sharing. Telling me about the progress of LDN and actually announcing an exclusive right on the Sanctuary. I can't wait to have you back once that album is out, because I will be sure to listen and then we'll definitely talk about it.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you for having me on. This was great. I love these conversations.